The term First Lady did not come about until sometime in the mid 1800s. Some reports say that the first time it was used was when President Zachary Taylor used it at Dolley Madison's funeral, but there is no proof to that. Dolley Madison is consistently towards the top, or at the very top, of what historians consider to be a good First Lady. You can also argue she was the longest serving First Lady. FDR's wife, Eleanor, served for over 12 years. However, Dolley served 8 years for her husband's presidency, but she also served as Thomas Jefferson's First Lady for his 2 terms in office. Thomas Jefferson and James Madison were close. Thomas Jefferson asked Dolley to serve as his hostess since Thomas Jefferson's wife had died before he entered the presidency. Dolley was born Dolley Payne on May 20th, 1793, in what today is called Greensboro, North Carolina. Her family moved around a lot, and she was raised as a Quaker. Their family were not involved in the Revolutionary War since their family were Quakers. Quakers are usually pacifist. She married a Philadelphia lawyer in 1790. It was a marriage that was prearranged by her father before his death. Her husband's name was John Todd. They had 2 children. One died a couple years after birth due to a yellow fever epidemic. Dolley Madison also lost her husband during this epidemic. She soon met James Madison through a friend, Aaron Burr, and they were married in 1794. James Madison gave up being a member of the House of Representatives, which was then in Philadelphia, and they moved back to their home in Virginia, named Montpelier. When Thomas Jefferson was elected as president, he asked James Madison to be his Secretary of State, and off to Washington they went. Dolley Madison immediately took over social events and the furnishings of the White House. She instantly became a major player in the social functions in Washington. She was known to woo over political rivals and was considered as a master of the social influencing game. She was virtually a required guest at any large social function. She went from unofficial hostess to official hostess when James Madison was elected to the presidency. The social events had to be put on hold, however. The British were heading towards Washington. It was the War of 1812. Dolley was forced to flee the White House because the British were heading towards Washington. James had already fled. Well, not really fled. He went to oversee what was happening. He felt a need to personally oversee the events. Before fleeing the White House, Dolley had ordered a portrait of Washington to be saved. After the presidency, her and James would return to Montpelier. Dolley's son, however, ended up in debtor's prison, and they had to mortgage many of their assets to pay off his debts. After James died in 1836, Dolley was forced to sell Montpelier to raise money again for her alcoholic son. She was able to put some of James Madison's paper together and sell them. On 2 different occasions, Congress authorized payments for the documents. Dolley Madison died in 1849 at the age of 81 in her home in Washington. She was first buried in the Congressional Cemetery, but later moved to Montpelier to be buried next to her husband. If you like these short First Lady videos, please hit the like button and subscribe. Thanks for listening.